we being for Halloween? We have like 6 days left. I'm panicking. Comment down below. What should I be for Halloween? And no, I'm not being Gautier, the somebody I used to know guy. I'm not doing that. Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Taylor McWaters. Here are the top 10 evil people in history you were warned not to trust. Number 10, John Johnson. Let's begin our history lesson here in the mid-1800s, where a man named John Liver-Eating Johnston, great nickname, right to the point. He was born in Little York, New Jersey. Now, he left the army promptly after striking an officer. That'll do it for sure. That's gonna do something. So he left the army and went west to dig for gold. The American dream, dare I say. Now, during this journey, Johnston, for some reason, felt the need to kill over 300 members of the Crow tribe. He was nicknamed Liver Eater, so you can only imagine these horrors. Can't really describe anything else here on YouTube because it's awful. If this type of twisted individual sounds familiar in any way, shape, or form, it's probably because in 1972, Robert Redford played John Johnson. Yeah, Jeremiah Johnston. This movie rocked the Cannes Festival that year. I can only imagine. We're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer and Netflix now. I'm like, there's some really disgusting people here that we've already portrayed. Number 9, Adrian Kline. We can't trust funeral homes now, so that's lovely. Here we go. Even if you die, people are still gonna try and with you. This was a recent one too. Back in 2011, Aspen Mortuaries had a contract embalmer named Adrian Kline. All was going well, I guess as well as that job could be going, until a local pawn shop delivered a tip to police, saying that Kline was selling a lot of gold. Yeah, a suspicious amount of gold. And considering the job, well, we gotta ask a few questions, don't we? Was Adrian selling watches or rings or anything like that? Or was Adrian selling gold teeth that he yeah, horrible, one of the worst. Kline had been selling dental gold to over 17 different pawn shops the whole time, and no one knew until the very end. That's disgusting. Imagine the smell. How do you even sell that kind of, let's move on, I'm gonna throw up. Number 8, Belle Gunness. Originally born in Norway, Belle Gunness moved to the United States at age 22. Now, Gunness married her first husband in 1884. They owned a candy store. All was going well until a fire destroyed their entire business, forcing them to collect life insurance. And then in 1890, Gunness put out a life insurance policy on her first husband. And then, well, I'm saying first, spoilers, he ended up dying that exact same day. Odd coincidence? Let's move on. In 1892, Gunness married her second husband, and 8 months after the wedding, he also died, this time from a skull injury, and she collected his life insurance promptly after. Now finally, in 1908, Gunness's farm burned down, and upon investigation, 11 bodies were found. Now, it was never officially determined whether or not Gunness was one of those souls. Now, she may have escaped, who knows, but that leaves 14 victims that she has to answer for in total. It's a lot of death. Number 7, William Chaloner, a 1600s con man. Can you even imagine? How do you do this? William was an English counterfeiter, and back in those days, counterfeiting was a crime that ended with capital punishments. Yeah, you can only imagine. You could literally change the economy overnight. So, you know, don't make coins, I guess. Our man William here also liked to sell fake medicine for, again, real medical problems. That's two bads. That's two big bads right there in a row. William didn't get away with it for long because, well, guess who stopped him? Sir Isaac Newton. Yeah, he's got spies on his ass, apparently. He had people on the inside, he had ears everywhere, apples hitting grounds, whatever. Isaac Newton caught him. This is amazing. Why isn't this a movie? Cut to 1699, William Chaloner was found guilty and then executed. Sir Isaac Newton was like, it was him. Number 6, bad bartenders. Yeah, we gotta think of some gross, dirty old Western history here. I wouldn't trust any Western bartender ever. Are you kidding? That mustache alone? And those saloon doors? I need some non-slips just to get through this. The bartender would often pour a drink and the cowboy would take the bottle instead. You know, that kind of illegal stuff that would happen back in the wild Western days. Grabbing a drink at the bar sucked. Bartenders had no regulations to follow behind that bar. So not only was it very high proof, but some bevies like tarantula juice, yeah, if its name didn't tip you off, it was literally made from poisonous ingredients. It was very deadly. We wouldn't drink this today at all. Don't do that. Tarantula juice was made from strychnine, so if you drink it, you'll feel like there's tarantulas crawling all over your skin. Awesome, thanks. Which button do I press to not tip? Let's do that. How do I get money back from this transaction? Yuck. Number 5, Jack the Ripper. Unidentified to this day. Everybody's just finding out about Jeffrey Dahmer, it seems. I don't know, he's a hot one right now. But what about Jack the Ripper? How did he get away with it for so long? Why aren't we going to see a Netflix doc on Jack the Ripper? Well, Jack the Ripper was active in the East London neighborhoods, primarily targeting sex workers in that area. At the time, the murders of 5 women from August to November of 1888, they were all believed to have been connected to Jack the Ripper, although some sources claim that he was active until 1891, so again, we'll never know. That's the part here. Many believe Jack the Ripper had some anatomical knowledge due to the way that he left his victims. Can't go into detail, but yeah, it was brutal, the stuff that he did with them. While there were some suspects, including a member of the British royal family, believe it or not, Jack the Ripper was never identified. Pretty wild. We're trying to find like Queen Nefertiti. I'm like, hey, what about Jack the Ripper? Let's just start with him and then make our way back to the thousands of years old mysteries. Number 4, John Pyle. Just a pile of this one. Because of the nature of his crimes, I again can't talk about them too much into detail in this video, but let's just say that he's definitely one of the worst kinds of criminals out there. On June 24th, 2016, authorities searched his home after receiving 3 tips relating to these horrible crimes. The amount of and the severity of the incriminating evidence that they found during the search, it was again, unspeakable. He was charged with 30 different second-degree felonies, which could bring a sentence of 450 years upon him in prison. Now, he was arrested the same day, of course, and posted a bail bond of $90,000, and as well as surrendering his passport, okay? A lot of things happened that day. Flash forward 16 months to October 23rd, 2017, John doesn't show up for his hearing. So now we have a fugitive on the run. Even though he gave up his passport, it still said that he was able to somehow board a Carnival cruise ship that was bound for Mexico. Apparently, he got off the ship when it arrived and never reboarded, yet to be located to this day. So sleep in fear, I guess, tonight and avoid cruise ships. I don't know, this is terrible. Number 3, the River City Ripper. Okay, we talked about Jack the Ripper. Well, there's apparently another one. Who knew? Everyone's doing nicknames now like they're pro wrestlers all of a sudden. But this serial killer wanted in connection to 4 different incidents that occurred in Little Rock, Arkansas, 3 of which were fatal. Now, these crimes took place between August 2020 and April 2021, so quite recent. And despite one of the victims thankfully surviving the attack and then being able to provide a description of the assailant, there's still very little to go on in terms of being able to actually identify this horrible human being. The FBI was contacted shortly after the survivor was able to give a testimony to authorities, and their behavioral analysis team created this profile of this unidentified killer. Now, these crimes, they were all just random acts of violence that they all occurred completely unprovoked. That's the terrifying part about this. The case has gained quite a bit of attention and I wanted to include it so it would get a little bit more, but still the monster remains at large, so look into it. I implore you to take a glance, especially if you live in the area. That's, I guess, probably wise. Number 2, Jane Toppan, aka Jolly Jane. Jane Toppan was a nurse working in Massachusetts and she would take care of the elderly, but instead of TLC, Jane would poison them with morphine, and the horrible part here is while they were slowly fading away, Jane would crawl into bed and lie with them after she poisoned them. So she would lie with them as they were slowly fading away. Just a sick individual. The last thing you'd expect in a nursing home. It's absolutely terrible. I can't even imagine seeing that in a horror film. Like, that's horrible, let alone happening in real life. She took the souls of 31 patients before eventually and thankfully getting caught. After that, she spent the remainder of her days laying alone in an asylum. Number 1, C.L. Blood. Haunting name, had to save him for number 1. Charles Lewis Blood. Now, of course, Mr. Blood here just had to work with medicine, right? That's a vampire red flag if I've ever seen one. Guy's name is Blood, he works with medicine. I'm like, really? Can we ask a question? Let me see your resume. He lied about being the son of a doctor, and then back in the mid 1800s, that worked. They're like, oh, we believe you. Here you go. Here's all the medicine. Good luck. He was a con artist. He also sold a product called oxygenized air, which of course was marketed as, better air that cures illness, all that jazz. And on top of this scam, Blood was also involved in blackmailing, misdemeanor, and to top it all off, Mr. Blood here once lost his temper and killed a fruit salesman. So after serving years in prison, he died of natural causes. Yeah, he died while in jail. That's a shame, right? You should have saved some of that super bottled air. Would have probably helped him out. Maybe you played yourself, I don't know. Those are the top 10 evil people in history you were warned not to trust, but trust me, trust us over here at MA. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and we're gonna bring you all the spookies this season and next. All the seasons, every month. Bye.